Radio Raheem here with Kenny Porter. Usually when I'm talking to Kenny, Shawn is not far behind. He's somewhere in the background. But today we've got Sugar Shane Mosley at the press conference table. Talk to me about how you training Shane came about and, how you feel about bringing somebody with that kind of history into the ring, being in that corner.
It's an unbelievable opportunity for me to work with another father and son combination. So initially I started bringing Shane in to do some things with Shawn. Shane actually was sparring with Shawn in our last fight. So as I said, he didn't just start this camp, in the last few weeks. He was with us throughout Shawn's last camp. And then we transitioned into working with young Shane for his fight, that whole entire fight week. And then he was successful with a first round knockout. So now the opportunity to work with him for this fight, when I first started catching pads with him and things like that, the first word came to my mind was amazing. His speed and his power is second to none. No one that I've ever worked with. Even my son Shawn right now. Yeah.
Now, everybody knows a fighter almost always wants to fight. It's hard to tell a fighter you're past it. It's time to hang him up. Yeah. You're done. But being a trainer, that's kind of your role, like to tell him and have the conversation with him that's real. So when if he came to you, did he come to you and be like, I want to do this again? Will you train me? You think I'm ready? How did that conversation take place? Walk me through that conversation.
It basically went with, he was sparring with Shawn, and I could see that he's got it. So, if that's your barometer, if Shawn is your barometer and he's able to go to rounds with Shawn, then we know moving on from there, some of the guys he's going to fight at this stage in the comeback are not going to be as good as Shawn. It's going to be, lesser than that. So, there was no conversation that, he's showing me better than he can tell me. So we didn't have to talk about it.
Ricardo Mayorga, we just saw him up here. He's a brash, loud-talking, disrespectful kind of fighter. You've just got finished dealing with one of those. When it comes to a fighter's mentality who's being pushed and prodded that way, mentally, annoyed, if you will, at the very minimum, how do you keep them focused, make sure they don't go in there angry, trying to over fight, if you will, and stay disciplined?
I didn't have that problem with Shawn. It's innate within him. He's not that kind of person. He doesn't let people get under his skin, so I didn't have that problem with him. Shane, being the veteran that he is, he doesn't allow it to bother him either. But this guy, unlike the last guy that we just fought, that guy was a comedian. This guy, he's serious. He really, really is serious about what he's doing. So when he blows smoke in your face or when he curses you out or does anything, when he pushes you, he really means it, So it just so happens that I have the opportunity to work with two guys that it doesn't affect them. Shawn, it doesn't affect, and Shane, it doesn't affect.
Well, you called Adrien Broner a comedian,
yeah.
But certainly at least one of his jokes you did not appreciate very much after the fight was over. He came to the ring. Obviously, we couldn't hear, but he said something disrespectful. In that moment, what did he say to you, and how did he get under your skin in that way to where you essentially pushed him and sent him back over to his corner?
Well, see, this started when the kid was 8, 9 years old, so I've been whooping his ass that long. See, so we talking about going to tournaments, and I'm a head coach, and he's running up and down hallways doing things he shouldn't be doing. I'm the disciplinarian. So this is nothing new. So what he did, he went back to that corner because I'm that teacher. I've always been that teacher. That's why he went back to that corner. But what he said to me was he would whoop my ass, and that's when I had to let him know, no, you won't, And so that's when he went back to the corner because that's the way he's been taught his whole entire time around me. So what he was doing, he did for TV. But the reality of the situation was he knew I was going to snap back on him, so he walked away.
Turning to your son, Shawn, had a victory over Porter. Had a victory over Broner. Mm-hmm. And he may have even been considered an underdog in that fight. And he came and showed what he had inside. In that 12th round, when he stepped out there and took that fall, did you know for sure he was getting back up? And when he did and got back to the corner, what'd you say to him?
No, I didn't know because he's never been down before. So that was the first time for me as well. So you don't know until it happens. But when he got up, he looked at me and he said, oh, yeah, by the way, everything you ever told me about anything in my entire life, you were right. That acknowledgement he gave me on his face. And I said, okay, now get your ass up and fight. And he did. He fought the entire round, and they wound up, the punch count in that last round, Shawn threw more punches and landed more than Adrien. But Adrien landed that great punch. Shawn went out there kind of lax, thinking, okay, I got this in the bag. I've won 11 rounds, nothing different this round. And he was just sitting there, and he took a shot. But, true champion gets up from it, and he showed that.
Now you and your son have some interesting choices in front of you. Winning that fight obviously brings options. The rematch against Broner has been discussed, at least in the press. I don't know if it's been discussed privately. Is that something that's been on the table or that you guys are interested in?
No, it's not on the table. I think Adrien, I know Adrien made his own poster, because he, I guess, felt like he wanted to do it at that time. But actually getting in the ring with Shawn is a whole totally different ball game. So he made his own poster. But they haven't contacted us. We have the same advisor. So, it's very easy for them to make the call, but I haven't had any phone calls in regards to that at all. So as far as having a lot of choices, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of choices because there's not a lot of guys that are willing to fight Shawn. They may say things that, on camera, but in person or the reality of the situation is it's been hard for us to get fights. We had to literally, for that particular fight, come down, to 144 pounds to get that fight. We had to do things on, as you said, the B side, in order to make that happen. In a rematch, which I would welcome, he'd have to come up to 147 pounds. So.
Right. For those who don't know, you did it at a catch weight of 144. 147 is where you campaign. So, assuming that he won't fight at that weight, what is good for Porter then? What should be next for Shawn and his career? And if you can look down the road, where you're headed?
Well, Danny Garcia said Shawn was tailor-made, and I've said this a number of times on the interviews. If we're tailor-made, he says he's going to counterpunch us all night. He says he's a superior boxer. Please go ahead and give that call to Al Heyman. Tell him you want to make that fight. We're ready, willing, and able. We'll come to the Barclays Center. Not a problem. It doesn't matter. We don't have to have a title. I don't even need to know the purse. I'm that confident in my fighter, so I don't even need to know the purse. Make it easy on Danny. Make it easy on his dad. Just go ahead and give Al a call, and let's make the fight. Moving on beyond that, Keith Thurman, great kid, great fighter. Known him quite a while. He said he wants a big fight before the end of the year. We want a big fight before the end of the year. So that's another situation that I hope a guy gives Al a call and says, hey, I want to fight Porter. So, if he makes that phone call, then we can, hopefully get that done. I'm looking forward to fighting Keith Thurman before the year's out. I think Keith will step up and take that fight, and then after that, we can do Danny for the showcase. Your
answer to the Kell Brook loss was the Broner victory.
Yes.
There was a lot of criticism that Shawn took for his style against Brook, and saying that he needed some more tools in his bag. Do you feel like you were able to show that you could bring those tools to the Broner fight, or is there still more that Shawn has to learn to fight a long, jabbing, boxing type fighter like a Thurman or even a Garcia?
Nah, he's got it. It's boxing, it's fighting, it's not holding, it's not fouling. 81 holds in the first 7 rounds against Kell Brook. It's illegal. There's nothing I can do if the referee's not going to stop it. The same thing we dealt with in that fight is what we dealt with in the Broner fight. And I know you saw all the fouls that were going on in that fight that were allowed. What can you do? Only thing you can do is fight your way through it. So, that's what we're going to do. If Kell Brook ever makes that call to make that fight again, we're going to take that fight. We don't have a problem taking that fight. But we did have a problem with getting a rematch because they dropped us from the IBF rankings, and that was strategic so we wouldn't get the fight. And then if you take a look since then, he's fought twice, but, they're, lower level guys, B-level guys, and, we're not going to get that opportunity. We know it because it's already been said and done. We're not even ranked in the IBF rankings.
Well, it sounds like that's an uphill battle to get the fights that you want, but I hope that you do. We like to see Shawn in the ring. It's my first time to congratulate you after the Porter win. Excellent job. Radio Raheem with Kenny Porter.